I am Ashok Vishandas, Professor of Applied Economics in Indian Institute of Public Administration. Today we are going to discuss agriculture pricing policy in India. Remunerative and assured prices are essential for increasing agriculture production and productivity along with the better markets to farmers. With a view to evolve a balanced and integrated price structure and resolving the claims of competing crops on limited resources to the perspective of the overall needs of the economy. The minimum support prices of certain agriculture commodity are fixed for every season in the country. For a particular crop and a given crop season, it is the same across all geographies in the country. The government seeks to fix prices that would fulfill the obligation of justice to the consumer and yet provide a surplus and incentive to all efficient farmers. In a sense, double bind situation prevails in fixing the prices where the consumer's capacity to pay prices for food and government's capacity to incentivize farmers for food production beyond a certain point are both limited. The crops covered under MSP are 22. These include 7 cereal crops, 5 pulses and 7 oilseed. Besides, there are 3 miscellaneous crops like copra, jute and cotton. In addition, fair and remunerative price is fixed for sugarcane. FRP varies according to the recovery of sucrose percentage. As recovery rates vary from state to state, so do the effective FRP. There is a contrast to fixed MSP across all states in the country of all 22 crops. The question arises as to why fixing prices in the first place. One of the criteria for deciding the level of MSP is the cost of production. Needless to say, COP varies a great deal from region to region, state to state, district to district, and even from farm to farm. If these costs were to be normally distributed, about 50% of farmers would be those whose cost would be less than the weighted average cost, but there will be another 50% whose cost will be higher than the weighted average. In case of cotton, just as an example, 51% of production is covered at the weighted average C2 cost. It is therefore expected that the remaining 49% of the cotton grower would often question the reliability of cost estimate. This is a characteristic of any data set, and this per se is not a reflection on the quality of data. Such a state of affairs would always emerge in all crops, albeit with varying degrees and magnitude. There is always a debate on weighted average cost and bulk line cost. Though there is no mechanical linkage of MSP with any cost, yet it is important to think of alternative to the weighted average cost, which the bulk line cost in pricing policy. In that event, definition of bulk line may have to be crop specific for a specific period depending upon abundance or scarcity of individual commodity and comparative advantage of growing that crop. For instance, all India weighted average cost of production on groundnut cover only 41% of production in Gujarat, which indicates prevalence of high level of efficiency gaps in the production system. This low share of 41% has to be ramped up by addressing inefficiency issue through technology transfer and replication of best farming practice on a wider scale across states. Structure of comprehensive cost of production. Labor cost, the largest single factor of production, is followed by land cost, capital cost, other inputs. Fertilizer just constitute 5%. Though fertilizer play a crucial role in productivity, it constitutes just 5% in total cost of production of crops. In case prices of fertilizer increase by 20%, just as an example, its impact on the total cost of production will be just 1%. Many times, farmers' organizations make out a case to increase MSP at least as much as the increase in the prices of fertilizer. They often demand 20% increase in MSP if there is a surge in fertilizer prices by 20%, just as an example. As a policy maker, one may be conscious of the fallacy in this argument. There is an inverse relationship between productivity and the cost. Other things being constant, empirics show that higher productivity reduces the real cost of production and have the potential to drive on farmer income. Other things being constant, empirics show that higher productivity reduces the real cost of production and will have the potential to drive up the farmer's income. Why productivity is critical? Volume of international trade, other things being equal, is greatly influenced by the prices. One way to reduce the real prices of commodity is to increase the total factor productivity much faster than the demand. Land productivity, a partial component of total factor productivity, impacts cost of production. There are imperatives of productivity augmentation. Increase potential for export to expand. If we increase the productivity, then it has the potential to increase the export, which will expand. Can trigger rural demand and drive the economy to a higher growth of trajectory. Precious natural resources, land, can be freed up for the same level of production. Equivalently, higher production can be achieved by the same land and other inputs. The driver of productivity includes fertilizer, irrigation, seed, management practice, extension services. Fertilizers are generally consumed where there is assured irrigation. Irrigation and fertilizer roles are overlapping in raising returns to farmers, where both represent adoption of technology. Empirics show a high correlation between fertilizer consumption and gross returns. Fertilizer is used more in irrigated land. Implicitly, subsidy goes to the irrigation tract. More emphasis needs to be laid on investment in irrigation and rational utilization of fertilizer. We have to augment the return. Of late, demand from various stakeholders to increase MSP of various agricultural commodity has been intensifying, and the main ground on the basis of which this demand is justified is monotonously increasing cost of production year after year. MSP is recommended not only on the basis of cost alone, though it is duly factored in while recommending the MSP. The answer to contain increasing cost of production lies in enhancing yield rate, as an inverse relationship exists between the real cost of production and yield rate. A way forward is to create a structure to enable adoption of modern technology by small and marginal farms who constitute over 85% of holding. That will lead to productivity augmentation, reduce the cost of production, enhance competitiveness both in domestic and international market, and ultimately lead to farmers' welfare.